Hello and welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast with your host Thomas Anderson and tech wizard Abigail Mowat.
Hello again, everybody.
I think that we try and do this a wee bit too seriously. I think we need to calm down and just be... Right guys, how you doing?
Is this a bit, or are we restarting?
Yeah, no, we're started, but I think we should try and calm down and make it a little bit more friendly. Because the
only reason he's saying this is because he's tired.
Yeah, but the beginning part is always me because I've got much better at it. We can just start with...
Let's just take that one step back there. He was the one who decided he was going to be the one to introduce everything. He wanted to be the chair.
No, that's not what I meant. I was halfway through my sentence before you very rudely interrupted me. It's always me, comma, and I've got very, very used to doing it this way, comma, who starts by being overly officious. Hello and welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast. It's like I'm welcoming somebody to the BBC News, but just a bit more cheerfully. I think maybe we could put music in, and that way I could sort of sing-song the way in, and it might be a little bit more friendly.
If any music you want to sing along to, you'd have to write yourself.
No, not sing a song, just sort of introduce the ShadowCast, but in a sort of sing-songy way with the music. Which might be interesting if we went with sort of like heavy metal.
Oh god, no.
No. Welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast!
Literally before we started recording this, he's like, oh, do I sound tired? Do I sound tired? It's like, yeah, you do, but as soon as we start, your will perk up. And now you're... now you're singing along to death metal music. Thank you.
Now that's getting cut.
No, it's not. This is...
I'm editing.
Darn
it's
it.
Getting cut.
No!
Right.
Why do you want to cut this? This is gold.
Gold for you, but it makes me sound like I'm either extremely unwell or moany.
Every week you point out something I do wrong. Every week, without fail, and that stays in.
Yeah, but that's my job. It's just a shame we don't have a camera, because they'd see the smiles, whereas right now it sounds like I'm just telling you off.
Well, you kind of are.
Nutty, don't do that.
Smack your face.
No, I wouldn't smack you in the face, because then I'd get arrested. But if I wasn't going to get arrested, I obviously would. I might just unleash like snakes into your car.
Oh, no. I hate snakes. I've got an actual fear of them. I won't go anywhere near them. I won't even look at them in the zoo. Whenever I go to the zoo, I just don't even look at that.
Have you seen Harry Potter?
Yes.
Do you like Harry Potter?
Yes, but that's not a real snake. That's CG.
Aye.
It's not a real snake.
I'm pretty certain. What about Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
That's a real snake.
Yeah, but that's, again, on the television. It's not in real life.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Okay, I get it.
Because I know it can't actually come out the television and get me.
No, I understand, right. Okay, I thought...
There's a piece of glass there.
Right.
That could shatter. Someone could just come along and snack that and it could just attack me.
Right. Well, no, it'd take quite a lot to shatter, like... Also, I'm not sure if that hand gesture is attack or...
That's like the mouth of the snake opening.
It's more like somebody's unleashed, like, tear gas.
Added a seasoning.
Yeah, that's what it is. You've picked up a pinch of something and you've just tossed it away. That's the hand movement you've got. It's horizontal rather than vertical to toss it into a pot. Right, that's very strange. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm sure the people listening have, but we've veered wildly away from the introduction, which was hello. We started with hello and then immediately went off somewhere else.
Yeah, but then you're just like, oh, I'm going to cut it. I don't think you're actually going to cut this.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to cut any of it. I might have to increase the volumes. I don't know if there's an option to make me sound less tired in the editing software. Maybe I can manage it. But if I sound... Okay, forgive me for sounding tired if I ever do at any point. The only time it becomes unacceptable is if you hear snoring.
And then followed by a ah!
Yeah, like that large pop that may or may not have been picked up on.
What was that?
I think it was...
Is that a balloon that popped?
No, there's there's a dehumidifier in the room, and sometimes if the room starts to heat up, it's not on, but if it starts to heat up, it expands and contracts all the parts in it so that you hear this weird creaking noise. Righty-ho.
Back to work.
Back to work. So we normally start with what have I been playing, but I've decreed that what you've been playing
is unacceptable.
Is just the same, and I'm not listening to another Star Wars story because I play that game myself.
I've unlocked Count Dooku.
Right. That's that. That's enough of that. Well done. Congratulations. What else have you been playing?
I've been playing The Sims.
Right, okay.
Because I needed something just to distract myself from life.
And then I assume you made their lives a living misery.
The first family, yes. The second family have decided they're going to be pretty normal.
Has it been fun?
It has, actually.
Excellent. So now we'll move on to other things. We'll move on to what have I been playing, because I had to forgo this last week because my television was
Kaputski.
ill. It was ill.
It was Kaputski.
Now I phoned up the television people. Allow me to take you, the listeners, from any point in the future, be it after this is put up to years after this is put up, on the journey that is the saga of my television. Step 2. I phoned them up, the television repair people, to try and figure out what was wrong.
Yeah.
Because they'd had it for about...
They had it for a couple of weeks at
3
least.
weeks. By this point it was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because they placed the order for the screen 19 days before I phoned them. So they'd had it for over 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Probably 4. And at this point they said, right, we haven't received the TV screen from LG yet. It's been 19 days. It's obviously not coming. So we've cancelled the order for the screen, which it took LG apparently hours to acknowledge. And then they wrote to John Lewis, giving them the incident report and saying, right, this is what's wrong. We can't get the screen. It's not being made anymore. So the TV's a write-off. John Lewis wrote the TV off, and then I went through their insurance system, which is very simple, and ordered another TV, which is due to arrive tomorrow, after being ordered on Thursday. Which I think is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
What kind of TV is it?
It is...
is it smart or is it...
It's smart.
Awesome.
32 inch, because that's the only one that can fit in my room, which is a bit of a shame.
Why, did you want a bigger one?
No, I didn't. It's just that I would have liked 4K, and the range of TVs for Samsung, there's nothing 4K below 40 inch.
Well, I think the thing is with 4K, it's still a relatively new thing. So it's not going to be widely available, and they're going to make it specifically, I think, for family viewing, which will be in a living room,
which is a shame because the best use of 4K is for video gaming. But so I was just going to clarify there. It's the range of Samsungs in John Lewis, and I go to John Lewis because of the huge warranty they offer, 5-year warranty. I'd have had to pay for a new TV with anybody else, whereas this I'm getting basically for free. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to clarify, it's the range of Samsung TVs at John Lewis, 32 inch, that were on sale at the time. None were 4K, and I don't think Samsung make a 4K 32 inch. And they're the best TVs for gaming, so I wouldn't go for anything else. And this is the future-proof, because I don't really have 4K gaming at the minute anyway. So I would have liked a 4K TV for gaming to future-proof it to a degree.
Yeah.
But I did realise as well that I have gaming headsets. In the future, they will. I think they already might make computer monitors that are 4K that are much smaller.
I think probably
they do. I know they make 23 and 24 inch ones. I think they make a 32. So I could just get if I was desperate to do it, I could just get a gaming monitor at 32 in the future.
Yeah.
And get a speaker system for it, or a headset to plug into the controller. Because they all use HDMIs. So I reckon there'll be a way to easily use a monitor to play games. And also, in the future, hopefully by the end of the year, suddenly into the start of the next one, I'll be able to get a gaming PC to start making some footage of PC games.
Yeah.
And it'll be I'll future-proof that monitor by making that 4K, so I could always just use that.
Yeah, because you had this discussion with me as well in a similar situation where I was talking about monitors and you said just use your television if it's got an HDMI cable.
Yeah, because we've still got monitors from back when my dad was working, and I've got a monitor. I've got access to monitors, but they all use the old graphics card. The pin, huge big plug with
like
the pins, sort of like a SCART, and you plug that in and then screwed it in to tighten it. Whereas since I got my last computer, they've all moved to HDMIs.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way to get 1080p and then, or the best way to get 1080p. So you could, it's much easier now to connect up a TV or to a computer or a monitor for a computer up to a games console, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the last time I actually used a proper computer, like a desktop computer, was back in college. That was, about 4 years ago? And it's just been laptops ever since, no matter where I go.
And just for clarification, when you say college, you actually mean a college.
A college.
Yeah, not a university.
No. You just have to clarify and point it out that I've not been to university.
Oh, I'm not clarifying and pointing that out. It's just that a lot of times nowadays, people happily Americanise what they're saying. So I'm just clarifying.
If I went to university, I would say I went to university or uni.
That's
I wouldn't say college.
Well, I don't think there's anything. You did, let me see, TV production?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a useful skill. So I was actually kind of not saying you haven't been to uni.
I've literally never heard anybody ever discuss my course like that. Thank you.
Well, that's what I'm trying to point out, I think colleges get a hard time. I don't like people saying I've been to college, because I've not, but it's because it's a fact. I've not. I've been to a university.
Yeah.
I don't look down on colleges. I had to go to a college when I studied advanced higher chemistry at school. The lab that had what we needed was a college, so we went there. So I've been and done some studying at a college.
Where did you go?
It was Falkirk. Forth Valley.
Forth Valley College, yeah.
For a few days to do some research work there, just breaking down compounds and using an NMR, I think was what we had to do, which you cannot do in a school, obviously, or at least at the time you couldn't. So, I've got I just get annoyed because I think people look down on colleges, and I think one of the reasons that people that go to uni say, oh, I went to uni, and they phrase it in a bad way. I just thought it relevant not only to make it clearer, but also to point out there's nothing wrong with going to college.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, there's absolutely nothing embarrassing or wrong about being a plumber or a joiner.
No, every job is as equally important as the other one, I think, in my opinion.
Wow.
No, it is, because if one section falls, the rest will fall.
Yeah, I'll give you easy that it's a tower of cards and you need them all.
Yeah. Where did we start off with?
We're really, I think we don't have enough content, and subconsciously we know it, so we're veering wildly around all the different things we could possibly talk about. But
where did we leave off? I was playing The Sims.
I think I was talking about my television.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so that order's coming tomorrow, and I'm going to have to set that up. I've not been well recently. So tomorrow I'm also having to do lots of other things that I've had to leave off. So I'll have the TV and I'll have to leave it in the room and just go and do other things that I've been leaving because I've not been well. So
to reiterate that point, he's not been well. In case you've missed it the last 10 times he said it.
Fine, I'll edit one of them out. And I'll edit everything out.
It'll just be silent, it's just Tommy talking.
It'll just be... I'll edit out everything you say, so it won't make any sense. It'll just be me saying hello and then goodbye straight away. And then an hour and a half of silence. So no, I would just say it'll be difficult because I've not been able to properly sit down and play a game in about a month. Actually, since the day of my dentist's appointment, now that I remember it was a Tuesday.
Tuesday. The birds were singing.
Clouds in the sky, which darkened when the TV went kaputzin. But, no, that'll be a tad annoying, shall we say. Having the TV sitting there ready to go.
Yeah.
And I've got to go and do some gardening, which I normally like, but anyway. But I have tried. I've got a wee story, as it were, because I did use, as I've said, I've occasionally used the streaming system.
Yeah.
Connected up to my laptop, which I'm wary of doing in case it blows something up, because I just don't think the equipment's good enough. But I do use it every now and again. And I was playing GTA Online with Brian yesterday, and we retried the Sneaky Sneaky Heist mission.
Is that what its actual name is? Sneaky Sneaky Heist.
Yeah. No, I think it's the first.
Like the other mission, Big Big Boom.
Rat-a-tat-tat. And
Fasty car.
Yeah, followed up by Fasty car.
Vroom vroom.
Followed up by helicopter.
Vroom vroom knockdown.
What would the helicopter be?
Chugga 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 chugga.
Chugga chugga. You steal a train. You steal a train at one point. It's choo choo steely steely mission.
That's chugga 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 chugga. That's another chugga chugga.
I don't know.
Chugga 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 chugga.
I wouldn't call it a steam. It's not a steam train, then. I don't think.
That's what it was. That's the noise of a train.
Actually, that's more like the noise of the jets. It's more like the noise of the jets. That.
No, the jets are. That's a West Side Story reference. If you don't know it.
I'm leaving now. Goodbye. So we tried the sneaky heist mission. I think it's the first heist mission where you actually have to be stealthy, which is I've got to admit the previous heist missions were done like over a year and a half ago, because we've been stuck on this series of heist missions. Every heist has setup missions, and we've been doing these setup missions for like a year and a half.
Right. Because
it's just so. If you go in with 4 people that you know, or 3 people that you know, 4 as a group, I'm sure you could bash them off like that. But see, when you're trying to get people you don't know who aren't on TeamSpeak, it's next to impossible. So we tried it, and it's the mission where you sneak into a laboratory and you've got to park a car. That's that you kill people to get in, and you park a car and then you go away. That's basically it. But you have to do it stealthily. They can't set off any alarms. Although you'd think the dead bodies being left at the end would set off a couple of alarms when it comes to the next shift. But that's the point. You just you sneak in, you park the car, and then you leave. But we keep getting caught. And yesterday, this is a new gripe, by the way. Yesterday we tried it once, and this is why we tried it once, because we got so close to it. We had one person left to kill. Right? One person left to kill. We were nearly there.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, we got caught. Obviously, alarms went off and we had to restart. But what happened during the restart process was that if the only way to restart it is to press RT.
Right.
Which is shoot.
Mm-hmm.
If you press B, you quit out. And I think if you press A, you quit out as well. And after the first attempt to do it, we tried to quickly reload it, and we think what happened was that one of the other people who was playing with me and Brian accidentally pressed A instead of RT, because the thing cut out and we got kicked like somebody had left.
Yeah.
But for somebody to leave after one attempt, I honestly, for the first time I've been playing that game, thought they had done it by mistake. It was the first time I've thought it. I don't think it's ever happened before, but I genuinely think they accidentally hit the wrong button, and because of that, quit out.
Right.
And it's a new problem, as it were, or a new cause of an old problem,
mm-hmm.
which is just that, why am I being forced to do this with 2 other people I don't know? Why is this the matchmaking system? Why can't we have something better? It forces you to do it with it forces you to do it with a set amount of people, 4, without really ever explaining why.
Is this what you've been talking about for, I think, a few weeks ago, when you were talking about the fact that you had to do preset missions and you had to have X amount of people, and you were annoyed because you wanted to just be 2 people?
Yeah, there are missions there that you could easily do with just 2. You don't need 4 or 3 or whatever. If they want you to have 4, then they should say 2 to 4. If you need 2 people, if you need 3 to 4, they shouldn't demand 4 every single time, because it's making it impossible. We get a couple of attempts at this a week if we're lucky. And it's just not possible. We just can't get it done. Stealth missions in GTA like this are too fiddly. It's very, very harsh for it to be demanding this level of basically intercommunication, because you have to snipe people in groups. 2 or 3 of you will have to take a shot at the exact same time, but we don't have TeamSpeak with half the team. How are you going to do that?
You're not.
Exactly. So
You're annoyed.
I just think it's silly. See, we got close because the other 2 guys didn't use their sniper rifles. They had come with a machine gun with a suppressor on it. So they just ran around mowing people down rather than sniping them, because they know that you can't do it. You literally can't do it with the sniper because somebody will make a mistake. You can't coordinate the shots. So you have to take them quickly. So instead of, rebolting a sniper or moving and carefully getting a bead on a second target, this just allows you to auto aim to kill 2. But then me and Brian could do that ourselves. We don't need the other 2 of them. It's just very, very, very tedious to make it this difficult for no reason. I want to do them. I want to play the game and I want to take part, but it's just unnecessarily tedious. Also, I've never seen anybody higher than level 200 actually try and do a heist with us. But I know that there are people up to level 2, 3, 4, 500.
Yeah.
So the people who really play the game and make Rockstar their money in this must be the ones who are just, for want of a better term, faffing around, shooting at other people for no reason. And not playing the heists, because one of the problems we've got is that it's not just about unluckily getting somebody who's not great, or who's trolling you, or who accidentally quits out, or whatever, but it's the fact that it takes so long to get a game. It took us 10 minutes the other day, and that's the fastest it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's just such a needlessly punishing thing to try and do, to try and play that game, and I just think it's unnecessary. So I am upset.
I can tell.
And that's what I
And I'm
wanted
sure
to
all
say.
our listeners can also tell.
Put up a wee picture.
I'm emotionally patting you on the shoulder.
I'm greeting. So that was all I wanted to say. It just...
You're irritated and you want them to do something about it to make you happy.
Yeah, because it just doesn't work properly. This is the problem, that GTA is a lot of fun. GTA Online is a lot of fun. But it's... objectively, it's a really, really, really bad game.
Anyway, shall we move on to Z News?
We'll move on to the actual news.
The actual news. The one that affects many people, not just one person.
I don't think this news affects many people. Fundamentally, I don't think people are being... This isn't Brexit for video games.
No, we're not to bring that up. We're not bringing it up. I've shut my ears off to anything with that word.
But also, I don't think what I was talking about affects only one person. It probably affects the majority of people who tried online at one point and thought, oh, I'm not doing this again. Right, so, do you want to take it off, or will I take it off?
Excuse me?
Sorry.
Excuse me?
Do you want to start, or will I? I'm not sure what I was
Is that what's called a Freudian slip?
Take it away, that's what I was looking for. Do you want to take it away, or will I? Start off. I combined start off and take it away for take it off. Start away would have been fine. Right, I'll take it off. Whee! Right.
Please don't.
Thanks very much. Right, so who's...
Right. So, PlayStation have announced that they're making a PlayStation 1 Mini, and that it's going to have preloaded titles, FF7, Tekken 3...
including... It's not limited to. Continue.
Tekken 3, Jumping Flash, R4 Ridge Racer, Wild Arms, and more. And yet more have to be announced.
Yes.
So since why I didn't say limited?
I'm not entirely sure what half those games are. I've heard of...
You've not played Tekken 3?
No, I meant Wild Arms. I haven't got a clue what that is.
Okay. Neither do I.
Yeah. But obviously the big one sticking out for me is Final Fantasy VII.
Ah, that's what FF7 meant.
Yeah.
You've written it down. I did actually read all of this on the news.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember what FF7 was.
Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
Full Force, no, Final Fantasy VII. An amazing game. That would probably sell that console by itself, to be honest. But it's good that they've got others. People like others too.
Well, for me, the nostalgic reason is I think Tekken 3, because I think it was Tekken 3 we had a copy of on PlayStation 1. And that was really one of the only games that we were able to play, because we just button mashed everything until we won.
That's why I don't like fighting games. I don't like them. I think technically it's basically whoever gets in a good series of punches first then wins, because you can't pull it back.
I think I also played R4 Ridge Racer. I played a racing game.
I've not heard of Jumping Flash, but I've heard of Ridge Racer. I've never played it though. But yeah.
Excited?
Not as much as I am for Nintendo 64.
No.
I think there's a Nintendo 64 mini coming and I'd be more excited for that. But this is more excitement than the SNES or NES, because I never played either of those, so that's not a big deal for me.
You have played the SNES. You played it at my house.
Right, okay. Well,
he did. He lies. He played a FIFA game.
I'm talking about nostalgia.
He played a FIFA game and he played a fighty game.
Yeah, but that was a couple of months ago, right? I'm talking about nostalgia from like 20 years ago. I don't have any nostalgia for gaming consoles.
Yeah, but you said you never played it.
I meant nostalgia.
He lies. What else have you lied about?
Right, so if I'm the chair, have you become the Grand Inquisitor?
That was my plan all along. Play along with his games.
And then out me as somebody who accidentally said he'd never played a SNES because I played it once for about an hour.
This is payback for him saying to me last week, "You're not listening to me," when he was talking about the PlayStation 1 memory card.
Yeah, well, hold on. I admitted I got that wrong.
Yeah, but you said, no, you're not listening.
Yeah, because I thought you weren't. But the point is, I admitted I got it wrong, and I didn't go, "Oh, you're not listening to me." I just said, "No, you're not listening." I was very factual about it. I wasn't whiny.
Condescending, yes, but not whiny.
Sorry. Was that condescending?
Condescending.
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 Do you descend downstairs? We're taking the lift and we are currently descending. Descending. That sounds like a name.
At the moment, I'm currently leaning back in my chair with my arms folded across, tapping my foot, looking away.
Hello, my name's Descending.
Oh my god, I was brought up with the wrong words.
Yeah. All the fake words.
What did I say? Condescending.
Yeah.
Condescending.
Yeah. Condensation. Condescending. Anyway, so you basically said the first half of a different word correctly. Which I think is mostly what people do when they say the wrong word. Anyway. So yeah, as I said, I'm much more excited for an N64, but this is quite interesting. I'm not excited yet. I need to see what else is going to be announced. That's more important for me, is finding out what else is going to be announced first, not this.
Not the actual concept, but you're just wanting to see what other titles they're going to include with it.
Yeah, because you won't be able to buy more. It'll be pre-downloaded, I think. So
like an internal hard drive. That's
so
like getting Snake on a mobile back in the day.
Yeah, basically, you'll have what you have, and that's it. So I need to see first. But the N64 one looks a lot more appetizing to me.
I think I would be interested to see what other games they're going to have though on the PlayStation 1. There must be including Spyro on that, wouldn't they?
I don't know, because they just re-released Spyro, remember?
Yeah.
They might not be allowed to.
I'm trying to think of what other really popular titles there were with PlayStation 1.
There might be a clamour for the other Final Fantasy content from PlayStation 1.
Right.
I have to say,
Rugrats. Please include Rugrats PlayStation. Rugrats
it
Search for Reptar. I loved that game when I was little.
I think there were a couple of good James Bond games for PlayStation, but I enjoyed them, but I don't know if they would be there. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to the N64 one, is it'll have to have GoldenEye.
Was that good, was it?
Yeah. What's the best James Bond game ever made?
All I know from Nintendo is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Why would you know Sonic the Hedgehog?
Well, isn't that part of Nintendo, Sonic?
Sega.
But I thought Sega was bought up by Nintendo.
I don't know. But if I was to guess, I'd say...
Because there was the Sega
No.
console, but that was a diabolical failure, wasn't it?
Sega just make games now.
Right, okay.
Because the thing is, Sega make games for the computer, they make games for the other consoles.
Ah,
I doubt
right,
they've been
okay.
bought by
I don't know why I
Nintendo.
thought that Nintendo had bought up Sega at some point.
Probably because Sonic might have either is similar to Nintendo characters or may have been a Nintendo game at one
I
point.
think it's because I recently saw in the shop like a Wii game and it was Sonic and Mario together, so I just assumed.
Sonic and Mario at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a Nintendo.
I just
It might
because
be
I saw that I just assumed.
Yeah, so Sonic's not Nintendo.
My mistake.
He's Sega.
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 Ah.
Was that Spice Girls? Anyway,
The
we'll
one
move
bit I know
on.
from their songs.
We'll move on to the next story. PlayStation 4.
Yes.
PlayStation has recently upgraded its streaming service, or announced that it's going to. The streaming service called PlayStation Now, which allows you to stream games, be they PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 2. It will now allow for these games, I believe I heard of PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 4 games at the moment, where you can download them and play them offline. So you still have to pay your subscription fee, but you're able to download and play those games offline,
Yeah.
as opposed to online, which was a huge limitation. So you still need internet access, but you don't need to be constantly hooked up to play them.
I think that's a better.
Yeah,
That's good.
but obviously it still doesn't beat Xbox's, which is, do you have the disc? Yeah, shove it in. You know, do you want to buy the game and just, yeah, there's £4, I'll have that game, thanks very much, son. Boom. You know, it's still second to that,
Yeah.
but it's much better that you can play them offline than before.
I think anything that offers a download and you can play it offline is better.
So yeah, to conclude, I think that that's a better way of doing it, but it's still not as good as the backwards compatibility offered on the Xbox, or logically the PC.
I'll take your word for it, as I have no PlayStation 4, Xbox, or PC. I've got a laptop, which at the moment is not letting me play games. Certain games.
Apart from The Sims.
Apart from The Sims.
Yeah, logically the PC would be best. As long as the software that it used to use, the operating system, isn't too different, you can usually play them. So
Play games. You play PC games. Is that what you're talking about? Or
yeah,
you're
so
talking about something else?
I wouldn't be shocked at all if I could buy KOTOR from 2003, plug it into a brand new PC, and it would play.
That's good.
Whereas now it'd have to be backwards compatible on the Xbox, which it is, but it would have to be made backwards compatible to work. Whereas the PC would just be boop.
This is good.
Anyway, so I think that's a good update, and it'd obviously be good if they included PlayStation 3 games. It's an interesting thing because apparently PlayStation Now includes their exclusives. But it's an interesting thing to think about, because does that mean that they're going to get... Basically, I think it's PlayStation that run this. So does that mean that PlayStation make money from selling with PlayStation? They sell the subscription to... They've got... It's similar to... I can't remember the name of it right now. It's gone off the top of my head. But Xbox has Xbox Live Gold that you sign up to. PlayStation has something similar. So they've got that subscription service, but also they'll now have this, or they've always had this, sorry. But if they include all the exclusives, that would cut out the developer from possibly making a chunk of the monies. Because this subscription fee, they'd get a share of it, of the pot,
Yeah.
for their game. So does that shore up the developer, lets it know exactly how much money it's going to make as a minimum? Or does it undercut the developer?
Yeah.
But then the developer would have to give its consent for the game to be there, so I think it probably shores up the development. So it's interesting. sort of like Xbox Pass or Xbox Live Pass, which gives you access to certain games. It's interesting because if that's the way we go, where you basically sign up to a subscription service to get a game, that'll be interesting. If it shores up development and keeps them safe, I could kind of understand it and agree with it, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about being basically forced to get games I don't want just to get access to the ones I do. Because if I only fancy buying one game in a year, I suppose I could pay the £9 for the month, or I think it is on the Xbox Live, but I don't know. There are still people who like their physical copies, like James Gray, and there's still people like me who like to own a game, even if it's just digitally. I like to know I've got that. Because when it comes to these sort of subscription services, a lot of the time they'll update their stock and remove old stuff, so you can't play it anymore, even if you're paying your subscription. I think they usually put those games on sale for a short time.
Right.
But I still, if there's a game on sale for a tenner, I'd rather just buy it than pay this,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where this sort of service goes and how it works.
No, I think I agree with James. I prefer physical copy. I don't like digital copies of anything, like music, movies, or anything like that.
Why?
I just like to have the actual thing in my hands, because I might no longer want to be part of a subscription service and then I lose it.
If you buy them digital, you still own them. I mean, it's obviously, we've had some horror stories with some Steam accounts being lost, although they're usually pretty good about that. Or
I thought
EA,
I thought it was Origin, you said.
that's what I'm just getting to, EA Origins, where they basically just seem to destroy people's accounts for no reason and don't help them get it back.
I had a heart-stopping moment the other day. I honestly thought I was one of those people because my Origin just wasn't working. I couldn't open it. And eventually I found out I could.
Oh, right.
Sims is saved.
Oh, The Sims, who cares?
I do.
But when you buy digitally on, say, Xbox or PlayStation, you don't need to be part of Xbox Live to still have the game. There's no subscription that gives you access to that, so it's a digital version that you get either way.
Yeah.
So you see, you were saying you don't want to lose access to something because you don't pay your subscription anymore. Well, you don't lose the access to something you buy digitally like that.
Right. No, I was just making a comment over every kind of digital thing.
Ah, right, okay. So when it comes to digital downloads, only with those subscription services are you limited. If you digitally download something normally, with those subscriptions, then you should have access to it whenever you want it. As long as it's installed. With modern consoles, it has to be installed, and that's no different.
Okay.
I
understand
if you've got
that,
the disc, it has to be installed, and a lot of that installation comes from online. Not all of it necessarily comes from the disc, especially if the game's been updated.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you might have noticed that we've...
You might notice some more noises, birds tweeting, people maybe washing cars and such. It's because we've had to open up all the windows and doors and the door because it's too hot. It suddenly went from freezing cold this morning to roasting hot this afternoon. So we apologise for that, but can't be helped.
And with that service update announcement, with public service announcement.
Yes.
Bing! You may notice some background noises because of the heat, and we've had to open all the windows and doors. Enjoy your journey. Bing!
A PSA.
From the 70s, where everybody was in a teacher's outfit and then got hit by a trolley or something.
If you want some good watching, watch some American or Canadian PSAs. They're quite...
I don't think I
good.
could stomach America right now.
But oh god, the PSAs that we had back, I've seen clips of when they were predicting nuclear holocaust, in the 70s or whenever it was.
I've played Fallout. I don't need any more of that.
We had some pretty disturbing PSAs ourselves.
Now, clap of the hands, rub them together. Next story. This is another good piece of news for consumers, but not necessarily great for these particular companies. Valve and Ubisoft EMEA. So Valve and Ubisoft EMEA have both been fined in France because they've not properly informed their customers as to their customer rights pertaining to refund policies. So essentially they've probably been obeying the law when it comes to refunds, but not been obeying French law when it comes to informing their customers as to their refund rights. And France has fined them for it. Essentially, the customers didn't realise they could get a refund because they weren't able to find that information easily. And it's legally enforced that you have to be able to find that information easily.
Right.
But this is not... It might cause a wave of investigations worldwide to ensure that the laws pertaining to individual countries are being obeyed. But this particular breach in the law is specific to French law, so it wouldn't be anything similar happening anywhere else. But it's good that after we had the EA story of them being investigated for gambling due to loot boxes in Belgium, it's good to have more stories of countries clamping down on basically game developers and companies trying to make too much money out of their customers when they shouldn't, because they're not really providing the service, or in the case of loot boxes, they're just taking advantage of vulnerable people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put that small story in there because I found that to be quite positive, and some of the later stories that we've got are not positive. Well,
it seems that it's like finding companies is gaining traction at least, which is good.
Aye.
Like you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, this is where it's more important to point out. Do you remember we had that conversation with CD Projekt Red where we questioned whether or not they were being transphobic?
Yes.
And that's become big and everybody's paying attention to it. I think basically preying on vulnerable people and children to get them to buy loot boxes that are ludicrously expensive just to play a game, that's far bigger.
Yeah, I would say so.
So where are all these people?
It's because
I've not seen the same outrage.
It's current climate and narrative. It's what will people click on more, and a story on transphobia will be clicked on more than a company getting fined.
I'm not talking about the people writing the stories per se. I'm talking about the people on Twitter who are reacting first. Saying,
but that's what I'm saying.
Disgusting.
That's what I'm saying. People will hype on, jump on the bandwagon.
So people see the tweets and then jump on that bandwagon, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got another question is, there were so many bandwagons to jump on when it came to what CD Projekt Red did, but not necessarily... I mean, I know there was gamer outcry when it came to loot boxes and saying this is bad, but nobody ever suggested that this was massively immoral from the point of view that it preyed on children and the vulnerable, which it does. I didn't remember seeing many tweets about that. Maybe you're right. Maybe I just haven't seen them because the journalists in the field haven't been reporting these stories.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
As it comes down to everything's an industry. If you're selling something, you need to, especially when it comes to news articles, it comes to papers, or even views, because that will lead to revenue. You have to go on what's going to be more popular, that people are going to click on more. The term clickbait,
we
for example.
That's why nobody clicks on us, because we don't.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. You're wondering why people aren't talking about it more, that's why. People,
people are essentially fish.
Company being corrupt, transphobia. One's far more clickable than the other.
The other one's far simpler. You can just get angry about transphobia and shout about it, but you've got to understand, finance and corporate law. You
can also take that up as well. It's like why everybody talks about the latest winner from, say, X Factor, or what happened last night on Celebrity Big Brother, or whatever it was. It's because
people are
more simpler. It's a more simpler platform. People understand it more than, say, a crisis of financial means or something like that.
I think that basically people are choosing to be stupid then. They're choosing to basically... the lowest common denominator They're choosing the outrage that's easy.
I don't think people are necessarily being stupid. I don't believe people choose to be stupid.
I think these people could understand the corporate issue if they chose to. They just don't want to because it's too hard.
That, or it's just not it's not an in quotes entertaining topic.
Right, but that's the point. Transphobia is not, the debate about equal rights isn't supposed to be entertaining.
I don't mean it like entertaining is not the right word. It's, I'm trying to think of the right word. I can't think of what it is.
Rewarding?
No, it's not even that. It's
enjoyable, fun, intriguing, interesting.
Probably intriguing more than anything else.
Right, okay. I personally think these people just want to get angry, they enjoy it, and that's a much easier thing to get angry at.
Oh, don't get me wrong, there are people like that out there that just want to gripe about anything and everything. Mm-hmm. They will hype on every single bandwagon.
So, a very short announcement. Rockstar have announced Red Dead Redemption Online. Which is probably going to be similar to GTA Online. I think that this is just an announcement just simply because we're quite a small operation and the sheer amount of information coming out about Red Dead at the minute is just too much for us to go through and put into one of these weekly updates. So we'll probably make a separate video. I might just make a separate video myself talking about everything and put it up. Mm-hmm. It's just so much of it. It would take up an entire podcast just to talk about it, so I think it's not worth it essentially just to do that.
Okay, so you're worried that Red Dead Redemption 2 Online I'm automatically putting 2 at the end of Red Dead Redemption now.
Yeah, I do that as well. I call GTA Online GTA 5 Online.
Red Dead Redemption is going to have the same sort of hiccups or same problems that GTA Online is going to have.
As I said, obviously I worry that they've not improved it because they need to, but I don't know because I haven't read any of it, listened to any of it in sufficient detail to know what's happening precisely. Mm-hmm. So I've even been toying with the idea that we don't look at it anymore and we just play it blind. We just go into it blind and we record that.
That might be a better idea.
But if I do decide to do some of this, then I'll make a separate video and put it up. Because it would just take up like half the podcast because there's so much coming out. And Fallout 76 is the other one about, the other game like that. There's so much coming out about it that it would take up all the preparation time and like 67% of the podcast time to talk about it. So it's just not worth it. So that's why I'll give an update like that, but no more specific information because it's covered, right? We're going to try and cover the smaller pieces because if you just give Bethesda and Rockstar all that attention, those companies are fine anyway, right? I mean, I love them for making single player games, don't get me wrong, but they're fine. They don't need us joining in that conversation as well. I can't see the first line, so we'll be fine. They'll be fine. We'll play the game, we'll talk about it after we've played it. We'll probably have an entire conversation just talking about that game once we've finished it, but the lead up stuff is they've got enough. They don't need us. Another conversation, like I mentioned, Fallout 76. We won't be talking too much about that because it's just too much information, and they've got too much attention anyway. We wouldn't be able to do it justice or any of the other smaller stories justice. But Fallout 4, we will talk about this because there's a mod known as the New Vegas mod, which is a remake of the game Fallout New Vegas, but in Fallout 4. And Fallout New Vegas, as far as I'm concerned, especially for story and some of the mechanics as well, is the best post-Bethesda Fallout game. So it's the best of Fallout 3, New Vegas and 4.
Yeah.
And Obsidian is promoting this mod because they made the original and they know how good it is. And Bethesda recently said that they wouldn't be allowing anybody else to make a Fallout game anymore, which is upsetting because I think they're doing that because they know that Obsidian made a better game than they did.
Okay.
Like Bethesda don't want to risk somebody else making a better Fallout game again. And they've probably got a whole range of Fallout games they want to make anyway. But this New Vegas mod is yet another mod for Fallout 4, which is drawing a lot of attention away from Fallout 76. So we've previously mentioned, I think it's Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also been a previous mod for Fallout 4 called the Capital Wasteland mod, which is Fallout 3. These mods aren't identical to the original game because they try to use the new power and mechanisms present in Fallout 4 to improve them, or just because the mechanisms aren't there anymore, so they have to use the new ones. Things like inventory management and stuff like that sometimes. However, not all the changes are improvements, obviously due to personal preference of the gamer, but also because Fallout 4 had its own limitations. I personally wasn't that impressed with it. I thought 3 and New Vegas were probably objectively better for the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you take them when they were released and compare it to Fallout 4, even years afterwards, Fallout 4 might technically be better than them now, but it's nothing compared to them in real time. Sorry, in real terms, comparatively. I don't know what that noise is. There's also the fact that this is a point made by other people, and I noticed it myself and completely agree with it. The colour palette for 4 is different from 3 and for New Vegas. The colours are different. It's like they're sort of more vibrant, but they also feel more false.
Unnaturally.
Yeah, sort of. So the colour
artificial
palette,
colours.
Yeah, it was the first game was Fallout 3 was very grey, and New Vegas was very sort of like brown.
Yeah.
Like dust coloured, but it still felt pretty cool because you were running through a desert, so it still felt kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
But C4, all I think is just like not a nice brown, but a really rubbishy brown, like the inside of a car made in England from 1970. It's just like really depressing brown, like the trousers of a teacher from the 1970s. 1970s brown. It's just really. But apart from all the bathtubs you find mysteriously around the place, it's really depressing. So that's obviously for me going to make it
1970s brown.
Yeah, it's going to give it a different vibe, which I might not like.
Okay.
Because I absolutely love New Vegas. I put like 130 hours into it, although nowhere near as much as I've put into Fallout 4, which is about 300 or 400 by now. But that's just because of personal reasons. I'm not able to finish it, so I'm faffing around a lot. Interesting technical thing about both of these, or legal thing about both of these mods, is that the soundtracks, sound effects, and a lot of the voiceover has to be completely redone so they don't breach copyright.
Yeah.
So they can use a lot of the story and mechanisms and all that sort of stuff, all the quests,
Yeah.
even the art design, that's okay because they're using it in a Fallout game.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the other stuff, like voice acting, the voice actors are paid when they make the original, so you can't then reuse it for something else.
Right.
Bethesda could, but not people making a mod. I think the same with the sound effects and the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
People are that's licensed stuff, so it can only be used for specific things by specific people. So the modders can't use it, so they have to remake it, and that's a bit upsetting because I liked a lot of the previous voice actors from those two, from Fallout 3, especially Fallout New Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the game would be as good without them in it. But the reason I'm talking about this is that it's yet another mod that's drawing attention away from the release of Fallout 76. Because now you can play Fallout 3, or soon you can play Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, and then a couple of other mods which are Fallout games based in other areas around America, like Miami. I think it's Miami, fingers crossed I'm right. And those single player experiences will draw a lot of people who want a new Fallout game but don't want an online one, they want a single player. So those people might have been, right, fine, I'll just get it and see if it's any good. They might be drawn away now. So I find it very interesting that Fallout 4 is basically getting in the way of Fallout 76. Sort of they're tackling each other a bit.
Yeah, there's a battle royale going on between the two of them at the moment.
No, Fallout 76 will win, but it's interesting that Fallout 4, for a game that I thought was terrible, because of its mods, it's going to draw some people away from 76. So I found that interesting, and The fact that Bethesda can't really do anything about it. Because we've seen before when it came to them shutting down that poor man who was just trying to sell a game online, that they'll try and you'll shut you down if they can. So clearly they can't if they haven't been able to do it here. So I find that in a way very humorous. But it's also interesting to read about this because you learn some of the stuff about mod making. Like Skyrim has a couple of extremely famous mods where the voice acting is done by the people who made the mod. And they're really quite good, but it's because they've had to take the time to learn the legal standing and all the rest of it, where they know they have to do this because they can't get away with just ripping out audio because they're not allowed to. But they can use all the other properties, you know.
Yeah.
Like something in my eye other than my eye. So they can use the mechanisms for the game and the design of the game and the character models and all that sort of stuff and the weapon fighting mechanics, but they can't use the sound, so they have to make their own. I think for a mod that's in the main game, then you can use the sound.
Yeah.
Obviously you might have to do your own voicing to get specific lines, but you can use the sound. But if you make a mod that takes you basically away from the setting of the main game, I think you're not allowed to use it anymore.
Right.
So it's quite interesting. That's why I wanted to include the story.
It's interesting that they can use everything else, they just can't use any audio.
I think it's because it's licensed. It's not from them. They didn't make it. If Bethesda made the sound, then I think...
Ah, right, okay. Because
it's anything that's licensed.
I would thought that the character designs would be licensed though.
No, they're in-house. They're made in-house.
Okay.
The thing is, even if they paid artists, it's programmers that have to make it.
Right.
You know, there's people who specialise. It's not the same as basically, how to put it. Even if somebody designs it and an artist draws it in, pardon me again, so that it appears as that character, that's still created in the game by the game engine using the coding, whereas the sound is essentially just a file that's put in. So it's licensed. Let's see that there's a subtle difference there.
Yes.
So I think you can use the licensed stuff for a mod that's still set in the main game, but you can't use it if your mod takes you away from that.
Right. Okay.
But
interesting.
Yeah, it is. That's why
it sounds very interesting.
It's quite complicated. You think that
you think that they wouldn't be allowed to do anything, especially after the story of that guy who tried to sell the game.
Well, you'd think they'd either be banned from adapting the game at all, which would be odd because Bethesda deliberately allow you to do it, or you think that they would be.
But I suppose that if you wanted to use the mods, you'd still have to buy the original game.
Yes, that's the point. You'd think that they'd be allowed to use everything because it would sponsor sales of the game, but I think it's because it's licensed that they're not allowed to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but in this case, this is one time where it isn't. It's only going to draw away from a future sale. So they might sell copies of Fallout 4, but if you've still got yours, you're not buying a new game at all. So. Also, Fallout 4 will be cheaper, and as has been seen, you could buy it from somebody else, second or first hand or second hand, whether new or used. Bethesda get nothing. So, yeah. It's just a legally very interesting topic.
Makes commercial sense to allow mods to happen.
To extend the shelf life of a game.
Yep. Makes more money for the developers, and also it'll keep the titles in the public consciousness for longer, therefore even making more money.
But also when you release the next one, people will know, well, they introduced mods for Skyrim and that made the game amazing, but obviously the players, who are the people who are making these mods, need time to make them.
Yes.
So I'll not trade my copy in, I'll keep it for when the mods come out, which then means future people have to buy fresh copies, not previously owned ones.
Yes.
So even that increases the revenue part.
It does, yes. So for a business standpoint, yes, it is.
It's just this
commercially beneficial.
Yeah.
To allow mods to happen.
It's just this particular unique case where it's not a single player game for Fallout 76, and people want another Fallout single player game. So they're turning to 4's mods rather than 76. It's just this one unique. Pardon me. It's just this one unique case in which it's having a negative effect.
Yeah.
But that's because of a choice Bethesda made pertaining to 76, not anything else.
So have there actually been... this may sound like a dumb question. Have there been 76 Fallout games, or is this just a name that they've decided to call it?
I think there's been 7 or 6 or something like that.
So why is it called 76?
Because that's the name of the vault.
The what?
In Fallout, the part of the whole thing is vaults, which people lived in to survive the Holocaust.
Okay.
But this is called Fallout 76 because the vault you come out of in the game is Vault 76.
Okay.
Named after 1776. And when it was built, which was 2276.
Okay.
And then I think you came out in 2076 it was built, not 2276. Sorry. It was built in 2076. It's named after 1776. And you come out of it in 2102? I think you're only in for 25 years. 2077 to 2102. And then it's probably going to be rubbish.
That's disappointing.
I just don't... Fallout single player, yay. Fallout online multiplayer like this, I mean, come on.
Right. Bethesda and Nintendo.
Oh, this was an interesting story. This could be a good one, could be a bad one, could be a neutral one, could be interesting. Okay, I'll just read this. So the idea of Bethesda working in Nintendo would be to both bring Bethesda players to the Switch, to get them to buy a Switch, but also bring Switch players to Bethesda to get them to buy Bethesda games.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the whole point of a collaboration between Bethesda and Nintendo. And this whole thing is based on an interview with Pete Hines. The interviewer says, "Have you spoken to them about Smash Bros?" That's
The
have
Mario,
you spoken
blah,
to
blah.
no them being Nintendo
Right.
about Smash Bros? Smash Bros being the
I didn't think they were actually talking to Mario. I was saying, is that is the game with Mario?
them as in the company Nintendo, and Smash Bros is
They
the
went up to a
fighting
little
game.
character and they said, Mario.
Yeah, little. There's Smash Bros is the next one. I know that Super Smash Bros and Smash Bros are different, but the next one out of that ilk is Super Smash Bros Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about interactions. So this interviewer asked about Smash Bros, and Pete Hines' response was, "Oh yeah." Now the interviewer had previously been asking about collaborations with Pete Hines between Bethesda and other people, or just other people in general, and saying with Pete Hines saying how difficult they are. I'm not sure if this is a declaration of interest from Pete Hines, the "oh yeah," or if it's simply him acknowledging the question, because the interviewer prior to asking about Smash Bros had said he said this to a PR person towards the end of the interview. "This will just take a second. I can guarantee he's going to give a very short answer to this." So then he asked about Smash Bros, and that's when Pete Hines said, "Oh yeah." But when the interviewer had mentioned I guarantee he has a small question, he'll have a quick answer, Pete Hines was just sort of laughing. That's the so this could be "oh yeah" as in an acknowledgement of the fact it will be a short answer, or an acknowledgement of the question, or an affirmative that they've spoken about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interviewer ended with, "I see. Well, let's just leave it at that. Thanks very much for your time." So that also could mean that Pete Hines was not speaking, because "I see" could be him nodding his head or shaking his head or just saying nothing. And it sort of leads to the larger point about this interview, and people I think might be reading too much into it. Because they are reading it. It's a written interview, there is no visual version.
Yeah.
So because of that, with the written interview, it's very difficult to get an idea for context, for the... I've written it down here. Very difficult to get a feel for the mood or the context, and things can be taken out of context and taken in a personal point of view.
Yes.
Because you can't see the person's face. So a lot about this.
You can't hear their tone. You can't see their facial movements.
Yeah,
you don't know.
You can hear our tone, but you can't see if we're smiling or if we're scowling at each other. So some of that stuff can be. No, please, no.
Thomas just decided to re-interact his famous mime routine of me pretending to hit him.
Exactly. So I mean, that was pretty obvious because there was no. But
I am the silent slapper.
Yeah. Some of the you just hit my hair. Some of the context, some of the mood is lost because you can't see us. In this case, you can't even hear them. You're reading. So I think people are reading a bit much into this if they're reading anything at all. I think the only good thing you could take from it, if you wanted this to happen, is that there wasn't a voiced negative. He didn't say no. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of conversation about what Bethesda character would be used, because Bethesda characters are quite adult and don't really go with Nintendo's very child-friendly versions, like Doom Guy, where he's just stomping on people's heads till they explode. That's not going to be very Smash Bros. Friendly.
No.
So some people have voiced the idea of Vault Boy, because he's quite a cartoony character.
Right.
And that could be child-friendly. Now, he's not used in a child-friendly manner in Fallout. It's quite child-unfriendly, actually, the way that he's used, because of all the gore and stuff in the little videos. And there's another problem in the fact that he doesn't have a move set, because he's not actually used. He's just like an image.
Right.
He's not a playable character. So I don't know how that would work out from that point of view. I don't think it's that possible to use somebody like him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how well you could use the other Bethesda characters, because they're either very adult, for God's sake, they're either very adult-like.
Something you're not.
Yeah, or they're mature content, gory sort of stuff, not child-friendly, or they're very player-created. So it wouldn't really be a character that you're familiar with, because it's not your character. Some people mentioned the idea of using the Dovahkiin from Skyrim, because you've got magic attacks, melee and ranged, but that's the whole point. You choose what to do. You choose how you create your character. So I don't know how well that would fit in with Smash Bros. It just would seem forced.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it sounds like almost like water and oil kind of mixed together.
Yeah. Yeah. The adult nature of Bethesda, the player creation, player sort of freedom and enterprise and agency, that's just doesn't suit with Smash Bros. And I don't know if the adult content of Bethesda's characters with the childlike versions of Nintendo, not childlike but child friendly, I don't know how well they're mixed.
Doesn't really sound like they would.
No, but they seem to be in regular contact about what they could do. It's just nothing's working. But I thought this interview was very interesting from the point of view of how collaborations occur, because collaborations don't occur because companies choose to work together. They usually occur because a couple of developers who know each other come up with a good idea and share it with the other one, and then say, why don't we get our companies to work together, and then they take it to the higher ups. So that's how I think they got Mario and
Sonic?
Kingdom Rabbids for the Switch. Ubisoft, who had Rabbids, which is a very child-friendly sort of thing.
Is that one, like loads of rabbits running around?
Yeah, Rabbids.
I don't like that.
They spoke to, I think they came up with the idea for this XCOM style game, and then that collaboration worked quite well. But it's so I found that very, very interesting, that's how it works. It's usually developers. Pete Hines himself saying that he's not involved in that stuff till far later on. I found it quite interesting that's how that system works.
I want to know what is going to come of this weird marriage of child-friendly and mature content.
Well, I don't think there is a marriage at the minute. I think they're just trying to arrange a collaboration. They don't have anything, but I don't know what...
They're talking about living together, but they're not doing it yet.
I think all companies talk to each other at one point or another quite regularly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was trying to use a relationship
metaphor.
Yeah. Obviously, I failed.
This is a will they, won't they.
Not Ross and Rachel, please don't.
No, I wouldn't go anywhere near Friends. Anyway.
Conversation for another day, I think.
Yeah. So, next story is about Kotor Apeiron by Poem Studios. The mod for Kotor has released more information in screenshots, which seems to have become a weekly update now for us. We've got them on quite a lot. So I'll just quickly pass through these and then you can give me your opinion. The inventory system has been updated so that the little icons that appear look much better than before, where they were very, very sort of like 8-bit versions.
Yeah, it's like the eyes again. See the eyes.
Boop, boop. Also, the weapons when viewed through the inventory system also indicate what they're effective against, like the different types of armour.
Mm-hmm.
So that indicates that the weapon will basically tell you when it's no longer of any use and you should stop using it because you've advanced in the game and the enemies have better armour.
Yeah.
But it also might suggest that blasters are useful against Jedi because they usually wear robes, which is cloth rather than actual armour.
Mm-hmm.
So it might bring blasters into the late game stages again. There's also range statistics for blasters, which indicate either that blasters have reduced damage or reduced accuracy at range. I also thought that could be that if it's if you're outside the 20 meters or foot range,
yeah,
you don't hit as often or you don't hit as hard, but don't do as much damage. But maybe it could be the other way. If it's a ranged weapon, you have to be out with that to get the maximum out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not likely to be that, but it's possible. Hopefully more weapon updates will be forthcoming, which will make other weapons more useful than in the original version, because in the original version, as soon as you got a lightsaber, you just did not bother with blasters. I never used blasters. I used swords and then lightsabers. Because if you close in, the blasters hit far less often.
Yes.
If you're within a couple of metre radius, the blaster doesn't hit as often. Not sure. Yeah, the idea being that if we're this close and you reach out a hand, I can just do that.
Yes.
Just lean back or something. So
were you ever able to throw the lightsabers in the game?
Yeah, there was a force power to throw the lightsaber, yeah. But it's not. It's a move selection game. It's like a sort of turn-based thing. It's not quite turn-based, but you selected a set of moves and then your character did it.
Mm-hmm.
So you selected throw saber. You didn't press a button to do it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So you selected flurry. You didn't press a button to do it.
Yeah, it's not like X, Y, 2, 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah. 2, 4.
I don't know. I just thought of it.
Oh, thanks. It seems like micromanagement's also been streamlined. When you open a container, you can filter through different options to see specifically, say, medkits or weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You can also see, this is to see what you've picked up as well. So if you pick up the remains of a fallen foe, you loot the body, you can filter through to see exactly what you've picked up. You can also obviously take all. You can also select the items in the menu, this inventory menu of when you're picking them up, to see exactly what they are. So you can see whether you can equip them basically from that menu, but you can also see whether or not. So if you find a weapon, you can select it to see the specific details of the weapon in that menu. So you can then say, "Oh, that's a really good weapon. I'll equip that straight away." So that's quite cool. You can also favourite certain things and you can select them and list them as junk. So I think favourites jump to the top of the inventory, and junk is an interesting topic we'll get to later. Hopefully that will make the system easier rather than the wholesale dump list that there was before. There's also a get favourites option when you're in containers. So that suggests one of two things: either that you can list things as favourites and it's the entire they're always selected as favourites, so you see them in containers first, or that specific item is a favourite. If you store it, so it's at the top of the list and you can take out all your favourite items, but that would indicate that there was an inventory limit, which there wasn't in previous games, because if there's no inventory limit you would just take everything. So that might indicate an inventory limit, or at least a reason to store things. The junking system mentioned easier, it might be to make it, you list everything you don't want as junk and you can sell it all in one go.
Yeah.
But it might also be so that if there's an upgrade system, you can break those weapons down. I think later games, I think the second game, might have had a better upgrade system where you might be able to break things down. So maybe this would allow you to break things down all in one go rather than selecting them individually.
Yeah.
And then you can use the parts you've got to upgrade weapons. Well, as I said, we need more information to see what the junk's for. But it's either to sell it, I would bet, or to break it down. One of the two.
Do you want me to scroll up?
Yes, please. Another update relates to the little party icons down in the bottom left of the screen. Over the health bar and the force bar, which would be like a mana bar in a different type of game, there's little numbers now. Because previously you just had to guess how much health you had from if it was halfway down, you were at about half. And same for the force power, whereas this gives you a number so you know exactly what you're doing. Because previously, I'd level up a few times, pause it, and then see, so before I had 12 health points. So if I was halfway down, I really needed to do something about it. Whereas now I've got 63. Yeah, I can do it. I don't have to worry about it so much. There's also little icons to tell you when you've buffed yourself or you've been debuffed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have preferred the previous icons to these ones, but we'll see how they work. And they've also updated the art for those pictures as well. So that's looking good, but we'll need more information to tell you specifics. But it looks as if they've tried to make inventory management a bit more ergonomic, but possibly a little bit more punishing when it comes to having too much stuff. You can't just pick up everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of being able to favourite things and to be able to move your favourites up in your inventory and kind of junk everything else.
So you can see...
You can streamline it, like you said. Did you say streamline? I think you did.
Yeah, in the previous one it was just...
nonsense.
A whole dump and you just flick through it all.
I like that idea because I think it makes playing the game so much easier.
Yeah.
And also the idea of having numbers on your health bar, I find most games should have a number system, not just a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really does, it means that you can organise what you're going to do far better.
I think for a strategy game...
Structurize? Yes, that's what I was
but not something like Halo or something. You wouldn't need a number system in Halo.
No, but something like that, yes, you would.
But strategy you do,
yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. That strategy can always benefit from numbers when it comes to health and stuff like that.
My God, he agrees with my opinion. Let us celebrate.
No, I agree. Yeah, you're right.
Cool.
You didn't play the original, but this is something.
I've not played any of the Kotor games.
This is... I meant original by comparison to the Kotor, and this would be the Kotor Apeiron mod.
Right.
Pardon me. I hope they're allowed to use the sound, but I think that's if it's in the game, I think they're okay.
Right.
Because it's in the actual, it's a mod for the game. I think they're okay to do that as long as it's in the main story. They're not repurposing it.
Yeah.
So they should be okay. But I think this will make it easier for you to play, and you will be playing it at some point because it's too big a game not to. Be interesting to see though if this mod ever comes to the Xbox ported version. For the Xbox One, they've got a backwards compatible version. It's not ported, sorry, it's backwards compatible.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if this mod could be applied to that. But you will have to play it at some point.
Okay.
Because it's just too good.
Right, well, I'll have to do it then.
Yeah. Kotor, Abigail are on. And we'd have to have mass Abigail effect. Mabigail effect. The Abigail effect. Some of these are not going to be easy to get sort of like punny names on.
No, my parents did not choose Abby, you can.
Grand Theft Abby.
Just remember the name that rhymed with Abby. Got called in school. I'm going down a dark hole. Help me. Bad memories. Bad memories.
Look, there's another story we can talk about.
Oh my God!
And it's a bad story, so stop you worrying about yourself.
I was really surprised by that when I saw this.
Go ahead.
Well, Telltale Games are no more, basically. They are shutting down.
Yeah.
They
have left this mortal coil. They have
I
placed
saw,
the coins upon their eyes and sailed down the river
they've done
Styx.
in the last because it was announced, was it a couple of days ago or 3 days ago, that this was happening, and since then they have hacked off a lot of their staff. Was it over 250 staff?
I think they went from 250 to 220. Sorry, to
225.
Yeah.
And it's literally just the bare bones now. It's just that the skeletal have
they
remained.
fired 90 last year, I think, or earlier on in the year to try and make it work.
The reason that I think that this is because if you don't know who Telltale Games are, they're the masterminds behind the Walking Dead games, the Game of Thrones games,
Batman, Telltale.
and The Wolf Among Us.
I liked the Tales of the Borderlands.
Yes.
I like that.
And I think what's such a big surprise is because season 1 of The Walking Dead, the game, I should say, not the TV series, kind of put them on the maps.
Yeah, it was. They won over 80 awards, I think. For that.
It was a phenomenal success.
Even I played that game, and I don't like
Zombies.
I'm a scientist. They annoy me. I also personally.
I watched people play it.
I played it.
I watched people play it, and I thought it was beautiful to watch. Even
It was a fantastic game, great story. My problem is, I suppose this is an idea, is I don't think you should be able to turn into a zombie until you're dead. Whereas The Walking Dead still do that thing in the TV series. I've not seen it, but they still do that thing where if you get bitten, you turn into one. So that doesn't make any sense to me.
my sister started watching it. I watched it for a few years, and then I got bored of it. Anyway, and so it's really sad because it's sad, but I just found it to be such a surprising thing because I thought that they're quite successful, but apparently The Wolf Among Us and the Batman game and then the Borderlands game were not actual commercial successes. I read that this morning. They didn't make nearly as much money as the season 1 of The Walking Dead did.
No, well, The Wolf Among Us might have made money, but I think it's the more recent sales haven't made money.
That's what I mean.
The Wolf Among Us is quite old, I think.
Yes, it is quite old. It was about eight.
I think it's the Batman season 2 and stuff like that hasn't made much money.
Yeah.
Telltale Minecraft, because the Minecraft.
I think it's the Minecraft that have made the most money.
Really?
I think so. That's what that's. No, that is right. Minecraft, the story, whatever it's called, has been the most commercially successful, but all the other games haven't.
Yeah.
So that's just what's happened.
Do you know if it made enough money to cover its? Probably did make enough money to cover its costs. Yeah.
I don't know, but I have read. I didn't even know that Netflix were going to be making a Minecraft movie or TV series. That's not going to affect it. That deal that is still going ahead. Mm-hmm. But apparently they just ran out of money. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what the word is. There's been no confirmed reason as to what's been going on.
No, I think Telltale themselves actually came out and said, they said we made really well received games, but just not commercial. It wasn't reflected in sales.
Again, it's very sad because I really liked The Wolf Among Us. I thought that was a very interesting thing. But again, for people who are massive fans of these games, they're not going to see the final of.
Well, yeah. Here's the games that have been cancelled: is season 4 of The Walking Dead,
The Wolf Among Us season 2. Game of Thrones season 2 and the Stranger Things game.
Yeah, they've been cancelled, and The Walking Dead season 4 is only episodes 1 and 2. They're going to stop after. I think 2's already out, and that's.
We won't know what happens to Clementine. No.
I think somebody will buy the.
They must. Somebody must.
It's too
good.
Potentially good, yeah. I think that what I read was that there were massive management and creative issues stemming from the fact that it went from being an indie developer to a massive game developer very quickly.
Yeah.
And because of that, they just didn't have proper team cohesion. So I heard it described by one previous employee, I think, as being very tribal. So instead of having set ways of working and sort of like standard operating procedures, they just had this sort of tribal mentality where you had to find the right person who had all the mystical knowledge that you needed to do what you were doing.
So like an actual game.
Yeah, so there was less cohesion and communication than there needed to be for such a massive enterprise. It functioned like it was still 5 people and not 250.
Yeah.
If not more at one point. And apparently there was massive overworking. So they kept overworking their staff, which caused a lot of their good developers to leave every time they made a game.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no ability to basically innovate because the staff were just overworked, and apparently it was just chronic. They would, like, 14-hour days were quite regular, but that's a massive game company. They don't need to do that. They're not. That's not something that's still trying to get its foot in the door and get stake a claim, make a name for itself.
Yeah.
That's something where they've already done that and they're still functioning like the same company, and that seems to be where it stemmed from.
Yeah.
One of the developers was on Twitter saying he didn't get any proper severance pay for all the overtime that he did trying to save the company, and so he said, I disagree with him on this to a degree.
Yeah.
But he did say, companies don't care for you. I agree with that, they don't. But he did say, don't put in any time where you're not paid. And sometimes a labour of love is okay. Just because you didn't feel it doesn't mean it's not okay. It's not all about money. Maybe it is for you, whatever. But I agreed with him that he should have been given something. They should have had something in place for when it failed.
Yes.
But it looks like that's just a bad experience because that company didn't treat their staff right. But that's not necessarily to say that other companies wouldn't do it properly. I mean, that's 300 developers at one point, right? See, even No Man's Sky still has like 6 people or something. So the development company behind that, was that like Hello Games or something like that? It's just...
Do you think they just sort of
They
took on too much too soon? They decided they're going to make too many games at the same time.
Yes, there's that. They might have had too much staff, but I think it's mostly the management, the overworking, the lack of creativity and innovation in a lot of their games. I think they just didn't adapt to their success.
Yeah.
It's basically the thing that
Which is, it's such a disappointment. It's so disappointing.
I think, though, if we've had THQ buying Kingdoms of Amalur, I reckon somebody will buy the rights for the Telltale Games.
Yeah.
Even if it's just EA and they sell each little chapter for 400 quid or Activision or something, somebody has to buy it up. It was not making money because they were doing it wrong, not because the games were bad,
Yeah.
If objectively the games are very, very good.
Oh no, they're just I just love their style. I love the style of The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us and the Game of Thrones game.
Do they still make Lego games?
I don't know.
Because that could be coming for Lego then, because I've only ever liked the Star Wars Lego games. I don't like the others, so we never got them.
Right.
I just think that Lego lightsaber, boom, everything blown up into bits, that all makes perfect sense. But once you put Indiana Jones to it and he's whipping things to pieces, that's just strange.
Right. I think it's disappointing that that this has happened.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for everybody that was involved.
Yeah, it follows on from a few days ago. We lost Capcom Vancouver, the makers of the Rising Dead series.
Yeah.
Which were Xbox exclusives, I think. The Dead Rising 3 was an Xbox One launch exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a couple of game companies that can make good games seem to have disappeared recently. So that's a bit of a shame. It's a real shame for Telltale because their games, really good stories. But you couldn't say they didn't. They leveraged it for money, a fair amount of money. One of those games was like 25 quid at least. You had to buy the chapters individually if you didn't want to buy the entire game. They sold, they leveraged it fairly. The one thing they might have done was that episode 1 of all the games was always free.
Yeah, but that's just to entice you, to get you to buy the
Yeah,
rest
but
of the games.
It might have turned people off from buying certain games because they just thought, all right, there's so many Telltales, I'll just try each of them in episode 1 and buy the ones I want rather than getting all of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were undervaluing themselves. They leveraged the right amount of money. I just think that they probably marketed wrong, developed wrong. Teamwork should have been
They
way
just
better
did
than
everything
this.
wrong.
Because they would probably been able to make those games cheaper if they'd
Yeah.
been more efficient. So they just got it wrong. Dead Rising, I'm not sure why they went down the company that made Dead Rising. It's probably just because Dead Rising 4 I don't think did as well as the others. Probably because it's just too many of them now.
Indeed.
Oh well.
So, is that everything today?
That's all of my news' stories is.
That's all of my nieces' stories.
So, all your nieces' stories.
All my nieces'
So,
stories. I have no nieces.
Yeah, so all that leaves is all that leaves
For us to say is thank you
all
for
that
listening
leaves
today.
for us to say is thank you.
Thank you for bowing to me.
Yes, thank you, Abigail. And thank you at home for listening, or wherever you may be.
Yes, thank you for all for staying with us during that weird opening segment.
That wasn't weird. That was good television. It's just a shame we don't have any cameras.
It's a shame it's not television.
So
Shame it's a podcast. Online.
right, stop interrupting me.
Never.
So yeah, thank you for listening. So thank you for listening. Feel free to leave a comment underneath. You can also follow us on Facebook at overshadow.shadowcast, and you can contact us through email at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com.
We will be endeavoured to answer all questions that you may have, all comments. We welcome you all.
We're still waiting for our first one. Let's be honest.
One day
we'll get
One
there.
day we'll get a comment.
Monday we'll get there. Anyway.
Monday. I'm working.
So yes, please like and subscribe below, and feel free to follow us on Facebook. And thank you again for listening. See ya.
Bye bye.